Welcome back to the Professional Hate Watching Association. My name is Ethan. I'm here with Tony and Daniel, like always. But we have somebody new here. Finally, he's like a mythical creature. We've been talking about him like on a weekly basis. We make a reference to him. And then it's like, oh wait, he's not here to back or dispute this. The Professional Hate Watching Association commissioner is here. Ekamresh. Ek, do you want to give yourself a little intro? Say hi.
Hi everyone. My name's Ek. Obviously I was on the TOT shows with all these guys. We were talking ball all year, and I'm happy to be here and ready to talk about what we got to talk about.
All right, perfect. So let's get right into it, because our last show, Palmer, as you know, was last week to the day when we were talking about post-finals. Since then, the NBA offseason, technically it doesn't start until the 30th. That's when free agency starts. But that hasn't stopped anybody from getting the jump. The NBA draft has happened. Free agency trades are starting to occur. So, and somebody just can't stay away from Vegas, allegedly. So let's get right into it. But before we get started, Tony, you have not been on this show since Kevin Durant has been traded to Houston. I wanted to give you an avenue really quickly just to speak your piece on it, because last week we talked about it, but this week we make room for the most objective Kevin Durant analyst in yourself.
Yes. That key that you see that leads to the lock of objectivity. Throw that key away right now, man, because it is time to talk about Kevin Durant going to Houston for his last chapter, which
is it though?
His next chapter.
It breaks my heart, man. But you know, they've been in talks, you know, about a 2-year, $112 million extension in order to retire KD as a Houston Rocket, and that's weird to think about. 3 years of more of Kevin Durant. I hope not, but yeah, man. I was super excited because, one, he did not go to a team named the Miami Heat.
I was devastated, me personally.
I know you were proposing that that's actually not a bad idea, and we saw already. You guys talked already about the atrocious deal that was proposed from Miami, and just God Almighty, thank you for sending this man to somewhere that I think, since I want to say in the last 5 maybe or so years, that I can say I'm actually happy about Kevin Durant being on a team. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have a confession to make. His entire Phoenix tenure, I've never believed one bit of it.
Palmer could have told you that one.
The second that he got traded from Brooklyn to Phoenix, I actually was not happy at all. I thought that there are no championships. There's almost going to be no way that this is going to work. Somehow it just didn't feel right. I never wanted him to leave Brooklyn. So I'm so thankful that this era of Phoenix is done and that this Houston era can begin, because think about it. You have a starting lineup potentially of Fred VanVleet, Amin Thompson, KD at the 3 for the first time since Golden State, Jabari Smith Jr., Alperen Şengün, Steven Adams, Tari Eason, Reed Shepherd, potentially Cam Whitmore if he doesn't get traded. And then you still have some room to work with because of the money cut that Fred VanVleet has taken in recent memory. I think that there's some interesting storylines that are probably going to be developing here. You know, now it's like, well, Houston has to clearly look up to Oklahoma City, which was Kevin Durant's former team. And then at the same time, they just lost to the Golden State Warriors in 7 games. And that also means that they have to look to Golden State, which notoriously the Warriors have owned Houston for the last maybe decade. And is Kevin Durant, out of all players, going to be the one to maybe take them over the Golden State hump? That's another interesting narrative. I'm very happy. I'm very excited to see what's going on, especially with a head coach like Ime Udoka that KD respects.
Best coach in the league.
I think
famous supporter of monogamy, Ime Udoka, by the way.
No matter his relationship status, I think Kevin Durant actually, out of most people, Kevin Durant doesn't really care about relationships when it comes to
Yeah, he just wants to hoop. I know it's not a big deal for him.
But I will say, while I do love this move, I think they are one move away. I think they're one move away, and I'm not ready to say that they are.
So you don't have them winning a chip.
What else? Wait, what else? What else do they need?
What else do they need?
I'm curious what you feel like they
He's
need.
like, give me Nikola Jokic.
They need Steph Curry.
No. I think in free agency, while they have solved their addition by subtraction with Kevin Durant for Jalen Green, and they still have plenty amount of good defenders outside of Dylan Brooks, I think that the goal now is to go get either a 3-and-D player or just another shooter, because I don't want to get into a scary scenario where we look back in the Oklahoma City days where KD is the only one that can make a perimeter shot. Now they will have Fred VanVleet, and hopefully Amin Thompson can work on his shot. But I would love to see either Şengün work on a 3-point shot to stretch the floor, or in general, I would like to see another player, maybe like a Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Maybe I think Na would be a great addition. Now, is he a little too expensive for the Houston Rockets? I don't know what his market's looking like right now, but
get Jay Crowder on the phone. The corpse of Jay Crowder.
I think that for me, I need to be humble and actually objective, and I can't say right now that the Houston Rockets are like a favorite in the West.
So we had said, Eck, you can get in on this too. So we had said last week that we were talking about what would be considered a disappointment for this first year in Houston. And me and Palmer both said that we think they have the potential to be a top 3, maybe even a number 2 team in the Western Conference, again, like how they were this year. For both of you guys, what would you consider to be a disappointing season for this first go around in Houston?
For me, well, first, obviously they won 50 games this past season. They were the 2nd seed. So I think you got to beat that. Like, you're replacing Jalen Green effectively with Kevin Durant. And come on, KD wipes Jalen Green. So I think they in the regular season they should be hitting that like 55 game mark. Be like I think they should be a top 2, top 3 seed in the West. Obviously, it's so hard because the West has so many good teams. But outside of OKC, I don't think there's any team in the West that definitively should be better than them record-wise.
Not Denver?
Denver's shaky. I don't know. Unless they make some moves in the offseason. I'm not too high on Denver right now. But I would say they got to be a top 3 seed in the West for sure. Surpass their win total from last season, and then in the playoffs, you got to go deeper. You got to make the second round, or at least even make the conference finals for sure. A first round exit is a disappointment for sure.
What do you think, Tony?
I think for me, it's eerily similar. I think that with a tough Eastern Conference, I wouldn't be shocked to see more than 250 win plus teams, because we're gonna have another probably resurging season by Wemby. You're gonna have the Timberwolves. You're going to have the Warriors now with a full season of Jimmy Butler. You're going to have, obviously, Oklahoma City. I mean, you can have all that as you will, but, the Denver Nuggets, they're still the Denver Nuggets. They still have Nikola Jokic. So I think that hopefully they can match at least that 52 win record. And I would say a top 4 seed is my goal. Now, disappointing would be anything. I think I can accept a second round exit. I think my goal for the Houston Rockets is at least to have a second round playoff series. And I think especially for Kevin Durant to make it past the first round.
I've seen Kevin Durant make it past the first round only twice since he left Golden State. Just putting that out there, just food for thought. Speaking of rounds, pause. The NBA draft just happened, and we have some thoughts. I know some people have some thoughts because we've been seeing certain images. We've been taking it in, like Palmer says, observing, not quite yet reacting. Now it's time to react, because I think the elephant in the room from the NBA draft is, we all know that the Mavs sacrificed a chicken in the locker room, which was Luka Doncic, to get Cooper Flag.
Nico was right, by the way.
No, okay. No. Did you think? Okay, I will say this though: those Luka summer workout videos are going to be the same thing as Ben Simmons shooting 3-pointers comps.
Wait. He looks slimmer. He
does look slimmer. He does look slimmer.
He's been on the Luke Zempic for
all
sure.
I'm saying is that, did you say Lou Zempic?
Yes.
That's insane. All I'm saying is that Jokic had to lose weight too before he got to the championship. But the elephant in the room for the NBA draft is Ace Bailey, who was selected by the Utah Jazz, 5th overall. So that's not a ridiculous pick because he was, according to ESPN, I believe the 6th overall ranked. Oh, no, sorry. No, the 3rd player. So he slid a little bit. Now, we all know the controversy about him not telling people not to draft him, specifically the Utah Jazz. The first thing that went through my mind was, what is wrong with Danny Ainge, famous supporter of nepotism, like Palmer likes to say. So I guess it was like they go through a best available type pick, but he clearly don't want to be there. Y'all saw that footage. What are your reactions to this immediately?
So I'll jump in and go first. I want to say, as somebody we're all like around the same age as Ace Bailey, except we're not famous, soon to be multimillionaire NBA players. So if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't want to live in Utah either, but that's just me. So I can sympathize with him from that point. But my thing is like, dude, like, what are you doing? There's no player that's bigger than the league. And that goes for the NBA, that goes for the NFL. Like, the NBA does not need like, maybe they will, depending on like how good he is, but like the NBA does not need an Ace Bailey to continue doing its thing. No player is bigger than the league. And whenever stuff like this happens, I always think about what are their agents telling them? Because I don't know if you guys know, but Ace Bailey's agent is actually Sharif. Do you guys remember Sharif Cooper?
Yeah.
He's Sharif Cooper's dad. That's Ace Bailey's agent. And I think he's the one that's been telling him, like, don't work out for these teams. Tell these teams that you don't want to get drafted. And so I just think it's just a bad strategy, because that doesn't excite teams, and that doesn't excite teams to draft you and get you to come in and like basically help build a culture. Because I mean, if you look at the Jazz, they have some pretty good players. Isaiah Collier had a decent rookie season. They still have Markkanen, John Collins, the Baptist, John Collins.
They all said that nobody's off the table. There is no untouchable on that team.
Yeah, exactly.
So Warrior Markkanen might get ready to learn Golden State Warrior, but that's besides the point.
I don't know. My overall thought is I think it's just a bad strategy. Like, I get it. Utah's not the most attractive place, but like, come on. I don't know.
So my thing was this. I'm in full agreement with Ace Bailey and his camp going about this the wrong way. I've always been someone who's always about like, I'm all about player empowerment, but like also checking and balancing when it goes too far the opposite way. However, what on earth are the Jazz thinking? Why would you even I don't even care if he's best available. Let him continue to slide down the draft board. I don't understand. It's so obvious he doesn't want to play for you. Why would you try to enforce that? I don't, in my mind, I can't even begin to think where Danny Ainge and that front office's head is in terms of, okay, this guy said explicitly that he doesn't want to play for us, so let's go pick him. I don't understand it. Like, and it's not like he was the last good player left on the board. Like, you want a guard? Go get Trey Johnson. Go get Jeremiah Zero Fears. Tough, by the way. Like, there's 2 guards that got drafted right after Ace Bailey. So I don't understand why you make this pick. Let him be somebody else's issue if that's how he's really going to approach himself. So I don't know. Maybe it's like a toxic. I feel like this is a toxic relationship brewing. Like, it'll get better and then it'll get really worse. In like 2.5. He's an LA Laker in 3 years, by the way.
I think we don't talk about it much on this show, but I'd kind of like to relate it to a little bit something from football. When Eli Manning was about to get drafted, he threatened to sit out the draft and wait until next year if at the time the San Diego Chargers, who had the number 1 overall pick, were to draft him. And I think I was honestly expecting Ace Bailey to kind of go that route and just honestly sit out this season if they were to draft him for the Utah Jazz or just any team in general that he didn't want to be on. And honestly, I can respect it if the young man can see that the vision for him isn't going to benefit him the most in Utah. But I don't really see, like, especially for Utah, like in the position that they are right now, I don't really see a flaw with his game fitting into their system now and him developing. I think that it'd be
But it doesn't matter if he doesn't want to be there.
That's the thing. If he just, at the end of the day, if he doesn't want to be there, and if it's not about it like a touches issue or just a development issue, then you know what? Maybe you just got to say thank you, but I'm not going to play for your team. Just like how Eli did. He was just like, no matter what, I don't care if you draft me. I'm telling you right now, I will not play for your team if you draft me. And maybe he should have done that, because I don't know. Maybe
Ace Bailey have the pull that like Eli.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like
at the time,
maybe like Danny Ainge is
Eli
calling
Manning was going to be Eli Manning was going to be the number 1 overall pick. And the thing about Eli Manning is that, again, you want to talk about nepotism. Like, his brother had just got drafted into the league a couple years prior and was already an up and coming star. His dad played in the NFL for over a decade. Like, that's a football royal family, if you ask me. So that's a lot. He has way more pull compared to what Ace Bailey's camp, I think, thinks they have. Because clearly, I think it was
you think it was like guys around him telling him.
If I could point the finger at anything, it would be the Jazz are attempting, okay, this kid is really good. We're going to call his bluff. And that is he just wants to be somewhere else, which is crazy because like Palmore said, Utah. So you hear that silence? Utah. That's all I had to say. So in that regard, I still don't understand what the hell Danny Ainge is thinking. Like, I don't know. His son probably made that play. DEI hire, by the way.
I don't know. I hope it works out. I think he has reported to Utah. I think normally they fly out, I think the day after the draft. So like the draft is the first night's usually on a Thursday. So the rookies that get drafted will fly out Friday. And then I think he flew out on Saturday. So, I mean, I hope it works out because, like I said, from a basketball standpoint, I kind of like the fit. Like Tony said, his game is very versatile. It'll translate to the NBA. And the Jazz I know they're kind of like an open market right now, but they have good players to build around. So, like, I think that if they keep those guys and find a way to make Bailey the centerpiece, they're not going to make the playoffs next year or like actually compete for anything, but it can be the start of something great there. Because the Jazz have been since I've been a basketball fan, like usually they're a pretty competitive team. Like them being this bad, I'm used to the Jazz being competitive. So, I mean, I think they can be competitive in a few years if he sticks it out. But we'll see. I mean, they're already posting odds for his next team. So, like, if he signs a rookie extension with the Jazz, I will be thoroughly shocked. I don't think
the Lakers.
I don't think he will. I think he's going to find a way to get out of there because I just don't know if he's going to enjoy being in Utah. But so if he signs that second extension, that second contract with the Jazz, I will be shocked. If that works out for them, good for them. But I will be shocked if that happens.
It's like 2K My Career when you have the ability to leave your team after 1 year. That's what he thinks it is.
Never forget when actually speaking on that, when DeAndre Ayton said success for him in the NBA, making it to that second contract. Nothing about winning, just making it to that second contract.
Game is game.
Dominating.
Game is in fact game.
I mean, you saw like what Cooper Flagg's capable of making in his NBA career.
Main event.
Like he's potentially, with the way the contracts are going to work, going to be able to make $1 billion by his third contract. It's insane. It's insane.
White boy summer, baby. I also want to point out that they are I think they're bracing to have Ace Bailey for the long run. They just traded Colin Sexton this morning for Yusuf Nurkic. They sent Colin Sexton to hell. They said that.
I'd rather be in Charlotte than Utah.
That is true. That is true. But that's like going from like the 9th ring of hell to like the 8th ring in Dante's Inferno. Like it's not It's not like the Charlotte Hornets are we've said this multiple times before. The Charlotte Hornets are the most unserious organization in North American sports.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like the Hornets might be like from a basketball perspective, the Hornets might be worse because as you said, the Jazz,
definitely.
The Hornets have never been good.
All of them hoop with one AirPod in. All of those players, they hoop with one AirPod.
And then you got class act Miles Bridges too. Yeah, it's just they're all over. They need a hard reset, kind of like what the Jazz did.
Yeah.
Except I don't think they have a player on that team that
they need to move to Seattle.
The Hornets could finesse like they did with the Jazz did with the Wolves. But yeah, I don't know. I do agree that he would be a good fit if it pans out. But like I really think you're only getting like 3 years of Ace Bailey ball, and then he's leaving.
Like he'll finish his rookie. He'll play out his rookie contract and get out of there. Maybe
that's what I'm thinking. Unless the Jazz can offer him a huge lump sum of money, which I don't think they will. I think the Jazz will cut bait if he didn't play to the standard that they want him to, like as a top pick in the NBA draft.
Yeah.
Which I think he'll find, and then I think he'll just find leverage to get out of there. I don't see Ace Bailey being a Utah Jazz for a member of a Jasmine, if you will, for a long time. But let's progress because I need to keep it going. Ace Bailey moment. So listen. So today we're talking about free agency. I referenced the Colin Sexton trade, which might be the most random guy trade ever. Colin Sexton for Yusuf Nurkic.
Not the Lonzo Ball, Isaac Okoro swap.
Let's get in. We'll get into that in a second. But I want to talk about before free agency. We're talking about, free agency opens on tomorrow. It opens tomorrow. So we will be observing and reacting. But I want to talk about a player who might just have screwed himself, and that's Malik Beasely, famous lover of Larsa Pippen, Malik Beasely. And he's now being investigated for gambling. He's getting the Jonte Porter treatment because he might have pulled a Jonte Porter. I'll say this before you guys say anything. I want to say this. I understand that what he's doing, again, like his attorney says, an investigation is not a conviction. This is true. However, I understand that if he is found guilty of what he is alleged to have done, horrible. You don't do that. Like, you just can't. However, I don't see what the NBA expects when they throw around so many gambling ads. Like I remember when the Jonte Porter ban happened. Like, literally while they were announcing it, I think it was on ESPN. At the bottom, there was an ad for ESPN Bet. I was like, dude, the jokes write themselves. So again, I'm not excusing Malik Beasely of any potential wrongdoing. If he did it, he did it, and he has to face the consequences of his actions, especially after the Jonte Porter incident, which was literally last year. However, I don't see how the NBA could expect this to go away without really looking in the mirror, Adam Corporate America Silver's mirror, and realizing that they've kind of sold out for these companies. And of course, the players are going to get tempted. I will say this, though. Malik Beasely, all respect to Jonte Porter, is a way bigger indictment if he gets in trouble for this.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just like the nature of his
he could have been a Houston Rocket.
Yeah. Could have been. The thing is that, yeah, like we always have to attribute this is not an indictment of him being guilty. But at the same time, like you said, if he is, that sucks. That sucks because that's now two guys that have been found guilty of gambling within the NBA for the last couple of years. And yeah, like you said, it's just like, well, how much do we have to kind of, I guess, like, or at least for the NBA, how much do we have to have that conversation of let's maybe, well, we still have to promote the business side of gambling.
They're never going to stop. I'm telling you, they're never.
Like, they're not going to. But I think what I'm saying is, like, you can't expect anything to change if you don't change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And I would agree. They're not going to start because these gambling companies shell out hundreds of millions of dollars a year to these leagues to promote. However, like, yeah, no, nothing's going to change. I hope they don't expect something to change from their players if they keep selling out to the gambling company. Again, Adam Corporate America Silver, baby.
I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, the NBA, probably a lot of their money that they've lost has probably been gained back from their gambling ads. and from their partnerships. So it is kind of a situation of like, well, neither is going to really give, of course. Like, I mean, the gambling companies can if they wanted to. They could go to like,
They don't care. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, sucks for Malik Beasely. I hope he's not guilty of it because he's a hooper, and I wouldn't want him to be banned from the NBA. But you know, if it happens, if he dies, he dies, as Victor Drago said.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing for me is like, obviously, DeJounte Porter is like, Malik Beasely is a lot better of a player than DeJounte Porter. Like Malik Beasely, as you said, he's up for a contract that would probably make him like $50 million over the next 3 years or whatever, maybe more. He was the best 3-point shooter in like Pistons franchise history this season.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think he necessarily needed to get into this. You know what I mean? Like, he set himself up well. Like, he's gonna be making tens of millions of dollars. So I like, hopefully he's found not guilty and this is just an investigation. But if it is, it's kind of unfortunate because he was set up. He was like prime for a good contract on a team that's on the up, and like he was in a really good spot.
Yeah. I kind of want to piggyback off that, Ek, because I think whenever athletes get in trouble for gambling, I think it might be one of the funniest things like on the entire planet because they're already making so much money just playing. It's like, why are you gambling when you know you're explicitly not allowed to do it and you know you're going to get caught? And for everybody who makes the argument, everybody's allowed to gamble, why can't the players do it? I think it's very much an integrity thing because even though the NBA and other leagues do promote the hell out of gambling because it makes them so much money, when the players do it, it basically makes everybody question the entire integrity of the league because there are a section of people who think that this shit is rigged. Like these NBA
You
games
saw the
rigged.
draft. You saw the draft.
It is. We know it's rigged.
Like the irony of wanting to be like, I get what you're saying.
The
you
games
can't look at
themselves.
the Mavs situation and not be like rigged. Like they shot themselves in the foot while trying to point it upwards with the gambling stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like the games themselves, like if players are actively gambling on the games and then they're in the game, like selling on purpose, like go betting the under on their 3-point attempts or like betting the under on their receptions, like it's like I understand why players are not allowed to gamble, and I think that that's how it should be. Even though as messed up as it is, like the leagues make so much money off of it, like that's just the way it is. And I just think it's hilarious that this case that he's being investigated for wasn't even for this past year. It was for the 23-24 season when he was playing for the Bucks. So when he was a Buck, he was probably out there doing stuff on purpose while he was gambling on games. So I hope that's not what he was doing, but I think that's also pretty funny.
Should we investigate Jimmy Butler for taking so few shots in the playoffs?
We might actually.
We might have to have a conversation about
probably.
Anyway,
no Steph Curry.
That's separate though. That's neither here nor there. He's got his coffee money too, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's like DJ Khaled says. It's sad. It's disappointing. SMH because he was about to get paid, and he could have gotten paid by the Houston Rockets for all we know.
He's already getting paid. He's an NBA player.
He could have been getting more.
No,
money.
but he would have made a lot more.
Why would you? I totally get what you're saying. It's like why would you run the risk of gambling? Like to get more money when like if you just play better, you will get more money. So it's guaranteed more money too. But anyway, so that's one player whose free agency might be over before it even starts. Let's talk about players who have got the early start, not really by choice. Palmer alluded to it earlier. Lonzo Ball is out of Chirac. They sent him to the land, which I don't know if that's better, but they sent him to Cleveland for Isaac Okoro. That's a random guy trade. I think that's also another one. Because so feel those stats, Tony, because now he's not even in Cleveland anymore. Like feel that trade. Do you feel that trade?
We're gonna make a graphic for my field of stats. Don't worry, one day.
Well, wasn't that DeAndre Hunter though?
It was DeAndre Hunter. And look what happened to DeAndre Hunter in those playoffs.
This is true.
The same thing will happen for okay.
It's not happening to Isaac Okoro because the Bulls aren't making the playoffs.
Yes, but I was gonna say I was about to hate on Lonzo Ball, but I actually can't.
Lonzo Ball.
I like Lonzo. I do. Only issue is
rapper.
Only issue is that I don't see what this does for Cleveland. Like, are you?
It's a high ceiling move, I think, because like Donovan Mitchell obviously has no issue being the point guard on this team, but like you can have Lonzo Ball as like the commander of the second unit, or you can have him out there at this if he's healthy, you can have him out there at the same time where you can have Donovan Mitchell literally just shoot the ball, like literally just score.
If Lonzo Ball was on the market and for teams that need point guards, which isn't the Cleveland Cavaliers, why didn't a team like the Boston Celtics or a team like the Phoenix Suns go get Lonzo Ball, who's a tall, ample defender who can shoot the three ball and who can handle the ball well? Because now it's like, well, thanks, Cleveland. You just like maybe you just wanted to have him just to say, all right, nobody else can have him. But it's like, all right, well, my expectations of you didn't really change after this trade.
I would argue that I think the Cleveland's logic in doing it is in getting the jump on it is because they're realizing that their current iteration of their roster isn't going to do anything in the playoffs. 2 years in a row, you've fallen short to teams
they might next year.
Yeah, they might blow it up next year. And so is the Lonzo Ball trade a needle mover? No. I know needle movers. That's not a needle mover. However, I can acknowledge that where they're coming from and that they want to like make a tweak because I think they think their roster is on the precipice of doing something great. Spoiler alert, it's probably not, but they don't know that. And so I think they're going to try and run it back one more time to see if they can make it past the second round and not lose in 5 games again. So I get it. And I do actually, as funny as it sounds, I do think the whole logic of like, we have them so you can't, I think is actually something that they might have factored into this.
Well, here's the other thing with the Cavs and running it back. It's the fact that the East next year is so weak. Like the Celtics are out of commission, the Pacers are gone, the Bucks are not doing anything.
Wide open.
It's wide open. Like this is the perfect year for either the Cavs or the Knicks to make the finals.
Get ready for the Mickey Mouse narrative.
And so I think that's what they're seeing. They're like, we have a chance to win. Like obviously this roster is not good enough to compete with the best of the East when they're fully healthy, but you're not going to get the best of the East.
Get ready for a Cavs Mickey Mouse Eastern Conference Finals run.
Like they're about to play the Pistons and then like the Magic and then the
Magic could be good next year.
Like
the Magic could be good next year.
While we're on the topic of the Eastern Conference and how wide open it is, you mentioned how it's like this is their moment for Cleveland and like a lot of other teams for.
Wait, if Cleveland or the Knicks don't make the finals next year, both those teams need to be like deleted.
Yeah. Like, they need to capitalize.
Like this is the time. You have no competition.
Yeah. But I want to get like a team or maybe two from each of you guys that I feel like they need to capitalize for sure on this year with previous teams like the Pacers and the Celtics being out.
Oh, it's the Cavs, 100%.
Cavs.
It has to be the Cavs. You were the 1 seed. You were the 1 seed, and you got 2018 Toronto Raptors out of the playoffs by the 4 seed Cavs. Like by the Pacers. Like you were a better team on paper. You should have beaten that team, much less not lost in 5 games. It's the Cavs, 100%.
Okay.
And we also have to like if Donovan Mitchell can't make it to another conference final, like can't make it to the conference final, we got to have a conversation. We got to have a conversation.
There's another guy that I think
he's never made a conference finals, right?
So if he doesn't make it in a conference is wide open, it's never been this easy to make it to the conference finals for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it will arguably never be this easy again with this iteration of this team.
That is very true.
Like we're gonna have to have a real. It's not an uncomfortable conversation for me because I have my own thoughts on Donovan Mitchell. Like we're gonna have a conversation if the Cavs flame out early again.
Well, in terms of the trade, the Lonzo Ball Okoro swap, I actually love what Cleveland did because Isaac Okoro wasn't really playing last year anyway.
He's just kind of there.
If you look at his minutes dropped almost 8 minutes last year, and the Cavs already have a ton of like 3-and-D wing players that they can use on defense. DeAndre Hunter being one of them, and then obviously their interior defense is really good with Mobley and Jared Allen. And I think Ethan, like you said, I feel like it's a very low risk, high reward trade, especially because they didn't have to give up any draft picks. Like the Chicago Bulls, like what the hell is a draft pick? I don't remember the last time I've seen 2 players get traded for each other, like straight up. Like when was the last time that happened?
That is
even Sexton and Nurkic didn't get traded,
especially because the Cavs apparently might lose Ty Jerome in free agency, and he was a very, very like important piece for what they did.
There's your guy, Tony.
So I think
Houston. Go get him.
I think if you get a healthy Lonzo Ball who can make his threes and be a distributor, like a really good backup point guard off the bench who can also play good defense when he's healthy as well. I think that's like if that works out, I think that's a very, very good move by Cleveland, especially. And if it doesn't, like who cares? You didn't have to give up any draft picks. So like if it doesn't work, you can just ship them somewhere else. But in terms of a team that has to capitalize next year, I really think it's the Magic, because I've been on my Paolo Banchero like horse for so long. Like I've been trying to push this agenda that this guy's going to be the best player in the NBA in like 3 years. And I still think that he has a shot. Like he's not going to be better than Wemby. So like maybe he'll be like a top 2-3 player.
The best player in the Eastern Conference, maybe.
For sure. I think his skill
better
set.
Than Giannis?
Like in 3 years, like maybe 3-4 years.
2 years away from being 2 years away.
Exactly. What he brings to the table at 6'10", like he's strong as hell. He can shoot. He can like kind of dribble a little bit. He needs to get a little better at defense and rebounding, but I really think if he turns into the player that I and a lot of people think he will become, I think the Magic can be really, really scary. And even though they gave up a lot to get Desmond Bane, I still think that's a good trade. They upgraded over KCP. They kept Jalen Suggs, who will be healthy next year. They have defense. Their shooting should be better. And the Magic are a big team, so they don't have to worry about size either, because they still have is Jonathan Isaac still there?
I think so.
And he was relatively healthy last year, right? Because usually he's hurt all the time, but I'm pretty sure last year he was like relatively healthy.
Yeah, he played 71 games last
He
year.
had to be because Wagner was out.
Exactly. Franz Wagner, he'll be back too, hopefully healthy. Wendell Carter. The Magic have all the pieces they need to compete. I really think that they can do exactly what the Pacers did next year, like this upcoming season. I think they could, in this crappy version of the East, like go to the finals, because the Cavs and Knicks should be the favorites, but like who is going to bet all their money? But we just talked about gambling, but who is going to place that bet confidently that one of those two teams is going to win?
Malik
I'm
Beasely.
not.
Absolutely, man.
If I had to pick today, I would probably pick the Knicks, but like I could pick
Orlando. Gotten their head coach yet? No, right?
I could pick Orlando. Like if I was a betting man, I would honestly bet on the Magic to win the East next year.
Well,
that's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not ridiculous. And I'll do you one better, man. I actually have the Orlando Magic going to the NBA Finals in 2026.
Yeah. That's not a crazy take. That's not a crazy take.
And as far as who they're going to be beating in the
they're going to be beating the Cavs in the
Spurs Magic Finals. Book it. We need it.
That's the small market finals I can get behind.
Yeah,
I think in the Eastern Conference Finals, they are going to play. I think they're going to play the Knicks. I think the Knicks are going to go back, and I think that because of that, the Philadelphia 76ers will have finally not have made a Eastern Conference Finals at all, past the third round in general, after every excuse has been thrown their way to make it past that second round hurdle. And I swear, man, if the 76ers cannot make it to the Eastern Conference Finals this year or next year,
they're not going to. Wait, why are they not?
I don't think they are.
No, but that's
their expectation. Making the playoffs.
Shouldn't that be their expectations, though?
The 76ers?
Embiid cannot walk.
Are you talking about the 76ers?
I am talking about the Philadelphia 76ers.
No, that might be the worst constructed roster right now in the Eastern Conference.
Right, but I don't disagree.
Aside from the Hornets, but like that's an NBA hell. Like
But I do know that in June we're going to be talking about which teams didn't make it, and I think that the big one is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers. The fact that they couldn't make the playoffs this year, obviously due to injury, says a lot. But
the other team sucks.
But this year or this next year, upcoming year, is the year that people are saying, give them a year. Give them a year to be healthy. And the
thing is, they're never healthy. There's
no
year Joel Embiid always gets injured by the end of the season. He's never played a fully healthy season.
He's sometimes not even healthy for the start of the season.
But that's what's unfortunate. This is the year, Philadelphia. This is the year to go for it. I'm sorry, but if there's
Not
any
happening.
here, this
You're
is
gonna give
it.
Joel Embiid like
The
prosthetic legs?
Pacers with no Tyrese are still a better team than a fully healthy Sixers, respectively.
Uh,
Like, and it's not even, and that's
don't
just
know
a full
about
hypothetical because the Sixers more than likely will not even be healthy. Like, Joel Embiid's gonna be playing with one knee again. Like, I love Joel Embiid. I have my mixed feelings about it, like how he plays and everything, but like, it's better when he's healthy and he's playing. But like, he's not healthy. So I don't.
Tony, what's your
that's-
Sixers prediction?
Yeah, that's
The Sixers are like, what's
they're
deeper?
not making the
than
playoffs.
They're,
They might be like the 9th seed.
the
who's
Sixers
that
are in the nether right now. Like
They're
they
going to
can't,
lose to the Miami Heat again in the play-in.
if and the worst part is they can't even trade Joel Embiid.
What if, Palmore?
My
What if he knows where I'm going with it? What if this weak dog water Eastern Conference is just all a ploy for Pat Riley to come back, make his grand return to the playoffs, and just run the show? Like,
it's me
like
again.
I can already see it now. 7th seed, they got to win a horrible play-in game again, probably against, I don't know, maybe the Sixers.
Yeah.
And then they play. Who would they play? Maybe like the 2nd seed. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say that's going to be it could be the Cavs, to be honest with you. And they could beat the Cavs. They beat the Cavs in the first round, force them to blow it up, and then the Heat just go on a tirade again.
It would be so fitting if after not getting KD, because Pat Riley doesn't want to give up any assets in a trade. So I talked about like a one-on-one trade. Pat Riley wants to be the first GM in NBA history to just get players from other teams without giving anything up. So it's not even a trade. It's just like a sacrifice or like
It's
whatever.
just manufactured. It's artificial free agency.
Like a favor or something. Like, can you do me a favor and give me KD and not give up any of my players? But it would be so fitting if after not getting KD or any marquee free agents, if like Nikola Topic or whatever his name is, or Jovic, and then whoever
Topic, Topic is a champion, man.
That's true. Without playing a single NBA game.
Jaime Jaquez and friends.
Exactly. If Jaime Jaquez is like an all-star next year, that would be
Adebayo.
The most Miami Heat thing ever. They just develop all their players to turn into the annoying 3-and-D guys they turn into in the playoffs, and they just go on a miracle run next year. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it would be the most Heat thing ever for that to happen.
Wait. So does no one, like, going back to Tony's original question, does no one believe in the New York Knicks to like make the finals? Because they were one game away from it.
I have to see which coach they bring in, because I do think they kind of jumped the gun. I think if you run that team back with Thibodeau still as the coach, I think they can make it to the finals, especially because ironically, injuries have plagued the Knicks in years past, especially 2 years ago against the Pacers in the semis. Ironically, I think that would have spared them and given them a real opportunity to make it to the finals this year. And the city of New York would have burned down. But
yeah, we didn't talk about Detroit either. They're going to be good next year too.
Detroit will be good. I think Detroit could be a top 5 or top 4 team in the Eastern Conference next year.
Not without Malik Beasely.
Any thoughts about Atlanta?
I think they still could. I don't know.
Atlanta
know.
my favorite 8th seed.
Like,
They're going to play Chicago in the play-in. Did you hear that? They already booked it. They already have their flight booked.
You have the script?
I have the script, yeah. I tell you, it's always the same 3 teams, bro.
Yeah.
You want to gamble on something? Gamble on that.
What sucks is that the Celtics literally will lose all of their centers just for their centers to go to play-in teams. That is atrocious.
Yeah, they sent that man K4Z to purgatory. The Hawks are always 1 year away from being 1 year away. It's like, get Trey a star. And, they got K4Z, which, like, is a player of all time.
It would have been good in 2018.
I don't know if it would have been good ever, to be honest. I think the way that Porzingis worked in Boston was because there were so many cookies in the cookie jar. Like,
well, he's a big-ass cookie.
Well, yeah, big-ass cookie, because that 7'3" cookie could hit a jumper over some 6-footers because they couldn't guard the perimeter. They couldn't guard, and like the Celtics, obviously, just due to the contracts now, we see them blowing up their team essentially. And they're going to have Neemias Queta probably starting at the 5 next year.
Neemias Queta mentioned.
So yeah, who knows? I wouldn't be shocked to see Al Horford retire. I wouldn't be shocked. And I think that Boston probably got their 08 championship in 2024, and that's just the way it is. That's okay. But now they have to figure out what they're going to do with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, because
The Jays.
the J brothers, man. But that's the Eastern Conference for you, man. It's just so wide open, and it is going to be interesting because I think the gambling books, they're not going to know what to say. They're not going to know what to do.
Wait, can I ask one question? What are you related to Boston? What are your guys' thoughts on this whole second apron implementation? Because obviously Boston made all those moves to get out of the second apron, and now they're still only $10 million below it.
Ask CJ McCollum. He's in hell now.
Grant Williams.
You said that with such a straight face. Ask CJ McCollum.
He's in hell now in Washington, where he deserves to be.
Dang.
I mean, it's just, this is the curse of the CBA, man. The rules implemented about the second apron has literally torn a team like the Boston Celtics, who we thought, they'll be chill, they'll be fine, right, to contend in the next couple of years. It took one injury from Jason Tatum for them to realize, oh, we're actually cooked. Oh, nah. Okay. Drew Holiday, you're going to go to Portland, even though you didn't want to before.
Sent him there previously.
Yeah. So
there's your guy. Houston, go get him.
Porzingis, you're going to go play with Atlanta. Al Horford, retire maybe. The Celtics.
Tell him to go home.
The Celtics are in such a bad situation because of that second apron. Because now Jaylen Brown's in conversations to be thrown in a trade. It's bad. It's bad for the league, man. And
I thought he was going to be a net on draft night, but instead they used all 5 of their picks.
Joe Tsai ain't doing nothing on draft night. He's trading up for second round picks in the 40s. I think that the second apron sucks, and I want them to change it, because while it's good for parity in the league, it's also bad for building history. It's bad for the Eastern Conference right now. You have teams genuinely shell shocked because they don't know what to do with these rules that have been attached to them in the last couple of years. If the Thunder don't capitalize it in the next year, man, they're gonna fall to it too. So it's a cruddy situation, but but now it's the established, I guess, unwritten rules. If you don't win in year one, you won't win none. So I mean, that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is, bro.
Can't wait for the Celtics to win another championship in 2045.
Seriously.
And they're having the Celtics are allowed one championship per generation now. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Since we're on the topic of the Celtics, and they have fallen victim to the injury bug like a lot of teams, like with Halliburton on the Pacers and Lillard on the Bucks. I wanted to talk about the elephant in the room that is continuously going through this revolving door about, do we shorten the season?
We're not shortening the season, Tony.
Yes.
I wanna elect that we're gonna shorten the season, but here's my proposal for how it can work and for how we can maintain history and competitiveness and entertainment at max value. All right?
I'm gonna try and listen. Okay.
So first off, we're going to avoid scheduling games with less than 48 hours of recovery time. So that means we're going to dial back on the back-to-backs as much as we can. And it also means no 3 and 4 games like the Lakers had earlier in the season. This means that the season would also stretch on a little longer than we're used to. So that's something that would have to change. So it goes on a little longer into that calendar year. But that also means that I'd be shortening the regular season games to 76 to 78 games.
Does that even really make it
4 games?
Yeah, only 4 games.
I know
that doesn't even make a difference.
I
See,
know
now
it's
you
not a
made
lot.
both parties mad. Because
It
that's
doesn't
not even
sound
enough.
like a lot.
Eck always does 70. Eck says 70.
60.
No, I say 60.
I think.
And what Eck do what
60
else?
and no All-Star break. Cut the All-Star break.
You deserve to get sent to DC for that one.
We're gonna get to the All-Star break. I know it doesn't sound like a sample a lot, but the rest actually allocates to a lot if you take this into account. I'd keep the in-season tournament, but I'd add the championship game as a game that counts to this regular season record. So that's why I said 76 to 78 games. The All-Star weekend would just be 3 events. And I know this is a big deal to some All-Star weekend lovers out there, wherever you are.
All 40 of them?
Yeah. I think it would only be 3 events. You have the All-Star game, you have the Rising Star game, and you have the 3-point contest. I think that's fair. Nobody needs to see the skill event. Nobody cares about the dunk event anymore. If you want to see dunks, watch the All-Star game. They'll probably do dunks in there. All right? That's fine. This is the biggest change that I think that we should do.
All right, I'm ready.
I think to minimize injuries as best as we can to the playoff teams and to the better teams out there, I think we need to go back in time, and I think that we need to go back to the first round best-of-5 format. I think that best-of-5 series, it would reduce as much injuries as possible, and it would reward the higher seeds with more rest. And you don't have any shortened amount of excitement because the best-of-5 still leads to like, oh, well, you saw like the 7-game series between Denver and the Clippers. That's still possible, just in a shorter ample size amount of games. And whoever wins between those teams doesn't have to go through a gauntlet of teams.
Are you getting rid of the play-in tournament?
Huh?
No,
Are you getting rid of the play-in tournament?
No, we keep the play-in tournament to keep entertainment.
I would get rid of the play.
No!
I would get rid of the play-in tournament.
Yes, get rid of the play-in tournament.
I think the play-in tournament is stupid. They need to get
You
rid of
do
it.
not deserve a chance to sniff the playoffs if you are a 10 seed. Like, absolutely not. I don't care if you win 2 more games against better teams. Like, bro, no.
I think. Sorry, you said play-in tournament. I thought you were talking about in-season tournament. Play-in tournament. I honestly don't know what you do with it.
Get rid of it.
Just cut it out of the season.
Adding a play-in tournament, keeping the play-in tournament, but reducing the first round to 5 games is a moot point. They cancel out because you're still playing. Like, one team theoretically has to play those 2 games still.
Yeah.
What if you got really freaky and did it like this? Make the first round best of 3, second round best of 5, and then everything after that is best of 7. What if you did that? Get really weird.
The only
everything single elimination.
No.
The only part about that is that the best of 3 would imply that like you only have okay, one team is the higher seed's guaranteed the last game if there is any.
Yeah, as it should be.
But it's scary because the second round series I think they should be longer to maintain the playoff excitement and to maintain, I guess, like an ideal that the series isn't over for the opposing or losing teams. I think that the first round series best of 5 matchup worked well for the Jordan and Birds back in the day because it allowed them to play harder later in the later rounds. So I think that with the reduction of games in the first rounds, and honestly, a lot of those first round series besides Denver and LA were exciting, but there were only 5-game series or like 4-game series, like in a majority.
The Thunder series sucked.
Like the Thunder series.
That wasn't a real series. That was a first round bye.
Like the Lakers and Timberwolves were exciting, but that was a 5-game series. And then like, if you want to get like really nitty gritty, fine. Houston and Golden State. Actually, no. Houston and Golden State would have been nullified because Steph would have been healthier throughout that first round series if it lasted shorter.
They would have beaten him in 4 games.
Yeah.
If it was a 5-game series, they would have beaten him in 4.
And then if they were to play in the Timberwolves in the second round, Steph would be healthy. So I think that that's what they would do if they do anything. But I'm not Adam Silver. So
I don't think you're doing enough, to be honest. I feel like actually this is the one time where I would lean more towards like what Eck proposes. I don't know about 60 games. 60 games is a lot. I feel like you can't go lower than 64. I don't think you can go lower than 64.
They should make it 72 like they did in 2021.
I think that's a good start. That's a good start.
Only reason why I said 76 to 78 is it's so hard to maintain those record-breaking teams, those record win teams without just a little bit of a
percentage. It's fine. It'll
Yeah, you just do it by percentage. Well, no, I get what you're saying about like who like if you play like 12 games less, like whoever's you no longer really you're way at a greater disadvantage to break the record for like most total points in a season or something like that. I get that. I've given this some thought since Palmer and I talked about this last week, and I do realize that the game has never been this advanced. It's never been this physically demanding on its players, even though there's so much more treatment and healthcare that these players can have to keep their bodies at 100%. The game has never been this physically demanding, and I love the game. And so I know. And so I do acknowledge that as much as I am against it personally, for the reason that Tony was alluding to about history and all of that stuff, reject modernity, embrace tradition response. I do acknowledge that these are unprecedented levels of play that the NBA has seen, the sport of basketball has seen. So the idea of changing the schedule is not as ridiculous as I thought it was even just a week ago, to be honest. Now, I'm still not supportive of it, but I'm willing to hear it out. That's why I put my ear to the screen.
I think they should, in terms of back-to-backs, I think they should either completely get rid of them, or if there are back-to-backs, there should be no travel involved. It should be the same two teams, like kind of what I said last week, like a mini series between two teams, so nobody has to travel. Because the fact where you can have games where, let's say, like the Lakers and the Warriors play a game that goes to triple overtime, everybody's like tired and about to die, and the loser of that team has to then like get on a flight
to Minnesota,
exactly, or like Denver or Utah, somewhere like that, land at like 4 a.m, and then play another game later in the day. Like that's too taxing on these guys' bodies. So like I would completely get rid of back-to-backs or make back-to-backs require no travel for the teams.
I agree. I think they just need more time to rest, and like they just need to stretch the academic. They need to stretch the calendar. That's how you know I'm getting ready for the new year, man. They just got to stretch the calendar a little bit for these players to get a little bit more healthy.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. I'm still not supportive of it, but I see the vision a little bit more now. My eyes are open. Before we go, as a last bit, we have a list of free agents. We were talking about it earlier. Obviously, some of the free agency stuff is still unfolding, or most of it still has to unfold. But we're going to talk about some players who you think could really make Julius Randle and Naz Reid both re-signed with the Wolves, so they're off the table. But in terms of other players that will be out there for free agency, talking about where do you think they go, and who do you think they could be a good fit for? So, for example, where Tony was talking about Houston needing a point guard, or not a point guard,
a 3-and-D guy,
a 3-and-D guy. So, who's a player that's a free agent that you think could really potentially fill that? Oh, I didn't realize Malcolm Brogdon was a free agent this year.
I mean, like I said before, I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker would be a great dude to get. I'm looking right now. This doesn't make any sense for them, but there's also Amir Coffey. I mean, he's still getting better. Ideally, I'd want someone that can still be pretty tall for this team, because I feel like that's the kind of vibe that they're going to try to run. They were really good at the double big between Adams and Şengün in the Houston series when they were playing good. So ideally, someone that has length to them, but is also a good shooter. Maybe DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith. He just declined his option with the Lakers. I mean, there's a couple guys out there that can make really, really fast impact on the team that they sign with. But it's going to be a chess game for a lot of these teams. Ty Jerome, obviously, I feel like he's going to sign a bag with some other team. Yeah, I mean, there's not that many other players that I want to have on Houston.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any crazy moves this free agency. Just looking at the list, because obviously James Harden re-signed, LeBron re-signed. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be anything unless there's trades. I don't think any crazy signings are really going to happen. It's
In
gonna
more
be,
important news, the Warriors exercise options for Quentin Post and Guy Santos. Just saying, just so y'all know.
Speaking
Yeah.
of the Warriors, I'm interested to see where Jonathan Kuminga ends
The
up.
cum bucket.
Yeah, because I think his time there, has come to an end. I feel like him and Steve Kerr have never really meshed.
His story's finished.
The two of them don't seem to like have a clear vision on how he should be being utilized. So I think he could end up on another team. He'll probably be Miami's consolation prize for this offseason because they weren't able to get anybody else. And I think that's the best they're going to be able to do.
Consolation prize. Do you guys think? Okay, so I guess the one thing that I was thinking of when I talked about this, ironically, was about the free agency list. But as mentioned earlier, the Jazz are said that they will shop anybody on that roster except I think Ace Bailey wishes he was a part of that list, but like he just got there. Like, is this finally the offseason where Lauri Markkanen gets moved? Lauri, Miles Turner, Markkanen.
I mean, it just depends on how many
yeah,
like
who would he go to? Who wants him right now? Because the Warriors obviously don't need him anymore.
Like maybe the Warriors were in the sweepstakes. Like send Kuminga to Utah.
Send Jimmy Butler. Oh, never mind.
I mean, the other guards don't have to worry about others taking shots because he'll literally take 9 shots a game.
Yeah.
Send him to Minnesota. Get rid of Randall.
He just resigned.
Yeah, I know.
Famous playoff riser, Julius Randle.
Yeah, this Shams keeps going on ESPN and saying like this free agency is going to be crazy. Like I don't really see the vision. Like it's going to be kind of a snooze fest, to be honest. Bobby Portis just re-signed with the Bucks though, 3 years, $44 million.
Really?
Bobby Crazy Eyes Portis.
That's a good deal for the Bucks. 3 years, $43 million. That's like
not ridiculous. It's Giannis and Bobby and friends.
That's a couple more million than Steven Adams got.
Because unfortunately, I think we're gonna lose Scoot. So like we literally don't have a point guard.
Go get Ty Jerome.
They can't afford him. They can't afford anybody. They're broke.
They're out of money.
Yes, because of the second apron.
Where does Russell Westbrook go?
Milwaukee.
The Guangdong Tigers.
Shanghai Sharks.
Actually, no. I think Russ will probably go back to OKC.
Why would OKC want him?
Why would they want to sign him?
It's not that they would want to. I think it's more so that Shea. There's that clip of Shea saying like, "Hey, like I want you back."
Do not bring Russell Westbrook back. It defeats the purpose because like I would have seen it. I would have understood if they brought him back to maybe win a ring. Like being Palmer, we're talking about this. The Thunder don't scream dynasty to me. I don't know. Maybe it's something about the Western Conference being good too, and how like the Nuggets with like the corpse of Aaron Gordon taking him to 7 games is like, I don't know. It's not that the Thunder are going to be a bad team by any means. I think they'll be the 1 seed again, but I can see other teams catching them.
Yeah,
and so like it'd be torturous to bring Westbrook back, and then you like lose in the second round, like.
Yeah,
that'd be abuse.
Unfortunately, Russ is a little bit of a bad luck charm when it comes to
who wants Marvin Bagley III.
Dude,
D'Anthony Melton.
Somebody needs a forward. Golden State will get ready to learn Marvin Bagley ball.
Dennis Schroeder's a free agent too. I just saw that.
Dennis Schroeder's a free agent. D'Anthony Melton's a free agent. I think he'll actually be a good pickup.
Imani Bates, nobody's talking about it.
Marjon Beauchamp.
I just saw him.
Marjon Beauchamp, bro.
Bismack Biyombo.
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder's still in the league. I forgot about it.
He's on the
Bruce
Kings.
Brown, Father of the Year, Bruce Brown.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind having Bruce Brown.
Famous cowboy. He'd fit right into Houston.
Yes, he would. Low key, Bruce, run it back with Uncle Jeff and KD. Low key.
Yo, Dario Saric.
Tony, you'd forgive Bruce Brown after what he did in Game 3 of the playoffs in 2021.
That damn drive. I mean, I'd have to see, but I'd have to see if they make it past the first round. I would maybe forgive him. And if he gave that damn ball to KD with less than a minute left. But yeah, it seems like free agency is definitely going to be like a game of chess for all of these teams. Like the smallest moves are going to be the biggest moves, and whatever else that's left is just going to be chump change. Man.
Thomas Bryant and Tony Bradley are free agents. Palmer, just a heads up.
Tony Bradley, let's go.
I don't know. These are all, you know what? These are all, again, these aren't needle movers in terms of like cornerstone. Nobody's getting a franchise cornerstone this offseason. However, I do think though, if certain teams make the right moves in terms of like, in terms of all the, in the chat, sorry. We're using the list. There's an NBA.com list where all of the
I found one on Bleacher Report. It's
you can find it on Bleacher Report, but there's a list on the NBA.com where it's all the players and then their old team and the new team and what they did. So just a heads up. But I forgot what I was. I don't know. I was spewing just misinformation, but yeah, I don't know. I think if players do it right, if some teams do it right this year, ironically, a team that could really cook is like the Thunder, but they don't really need new pieces. Like if they just keep their roster intact, they might.
The Thunder, they low key cooked during this draft, but there's not enough like room, like for them to fit. Like it's like where do they fit on this rotation? It's like the same reason why I liked the Houston trade, because that 10th pick was not really fitting on that roster. One, you already had Jabari, Tari, Cam, like you already had a lot of guys, Jalen at the time. Like you already had a lot of guys kind of already taking up the space. So for OKC, it's like they're just kind of running it back.
Yeah, no, I don't think they need to make any moves. But I think if certain teams play their cards right, like I do think that like let's think like if like you talking about Houston needing like a 3-and-D player, obviously there's not that many. They might need to make a move for that, but you don't want to disrupt the roster too much. But I think. Like again, I don't mean to go back to the Golden State Warriors. Who goes back to what happens more? Tony going to KD or me going to the Warriors? That's a real debate. But like I think if the Warriors can get like another good like go get Walker Kessler. If you go get Walker Kessler from the Jazz, I think that immediately puts you into not a championship contender, but like a guaranteed like top 6 team in the Western Conference.
I really thought that the Warriors were going to get Naz Reid, but
I can't see the Wolves letting go of Naz Reid. Naz Reid.
He's a cornerstone of Minnesota now.
Go get Bol too. Honestly, go get everybody. I am like Miami Heat fans. I'm like, just go get everybody. If you have your expectations for everybody, then it's just picking up anybody will be a W to you.
I mean, it just depends. You never know what Memphis is going to do. They're going to blow it up
I'd blow it up. Blow it up.
Like, who would you blow it up with first? Would you send Ja out or would you send Triple J out? I think Triple J out, unironically, would be kind of a harder package. I feel like
really.
I feel like weirdly enough, there's like, well, because I think most contenders have their point guard like already. Like, I feel like in general they're missing that big.
Not the Celtics. The Celtics don't have a point guard.
Oh, well, that's true.
I mean, they have Anthony Simons. He's not really a defender.
Isn't he 1 year left on his contract, though?
Yeah.
That boy is not staying in Boston. Especially if he has a good year, they'll be like.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, though. I don't know. I think Memphis should. We're getting off topic here, but yeah, I think Memphis could blow it up too. Like that roster's clearly not doing anything.
The Grizzlies could touch a rebuild.
They could. They really like just like hard reset, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And with that, this concludes episode 4 and the first episode with the commissioner here with us of the Professional Hate Watching Association. We will be live every weekend. We're looking at Saturday afternoons at around this time, starting next Saturday. By then, free agency will have already gone over most of these random guys that we listed. Do you see Yabusele's a free agent too?
Yeah.
I didn't see that, no. Yabusele?
Yeah, Yabusele, yeah. So much will have happened because it opens tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Let's see if any trades happened. But we'll break it down on next Saturday. But until then, that is all that we have for this episode of the PHWA. For Ethan, Eck, Tony, and Palmore, that's all we got. We'll see you next week.